Fish.
Oh, fish on.
Oh,
Hollywood. One cast, one catch, ladies and gentlemen.
That's it.
So I only fish for instructional purposes.
So talk about what we're doing here. This is pretty unique. We're on the way to our fishing spot here in the Keys, and Hollywood stops. And we're like, what are you doing stopping in the middle of this bay? And it's this massive mud.
Yes.
Mess.
So down here in South Florida, the Everglades National Park, we call this what we would call a trout mud or a mullet mud. And the last couple days, we've been able to find this mud out here in this particular bay. And today, with the pre-storm conditions, it's blowing out of the south, 15 to 20. The mud was pretty obvious to see, and we just happened to stop in here to see if I could catch Joe a fish, because you guys know how hard that is sometimes. So anyway, we're out here fishing the Power Prawn Junior, and we just happened to make a cast and catch a trout. Little spotted sea trout right off the bat, first cast.
First cast for you.
First cast for me. I mean, Joe's been
trout.
fishing for an hour and hasn't caught one yet. But anyway, so you see what we get here.
And that's a 1/4 ounce. So right when we saw it, I happened to have a jerk shad on with an 1/8 ounce, couldn't get squat. As soon as we moved to a 1/4 jig head, started catching fish. So you got to be closer to the bottom. So what's happening?
Yeah, so we're here in about 3.5, 4 feet of water, and a mullet mud is created by mullets and trouts and all of the little predator fish that all play together. So interesting about the mud, this whole bay, you can look around, it's large, and the water can be crystal clear, and you won't catch a fish in this bay anywhere you go until you find a mud spot. And the mud spot will hold the fish if there's fish in the bay. And like I say, well, you catch trouts, jacks, ladyfish, small sharks, a pompano. You don't know what you might find in a mullet mud, but everybody is all about digging on the bottom, making it dirty, and creating a habitat where all the fish want to be in. And Power Prawn Junior, jerk bait, the Slam Shady, pop and cork, very popular way to fish this stuff, no need for bait.
So just describe for those listening and not watching what this mud looks like. What do you...
Okay, so you're coming across the bay and the water's one color, pretty uniform around the whole bay, and then all of a sudden you'll see a very chalky or milky green or white, if you will, or even tan, where the rest of the bay is dark. And the muds will move too, wind direction, tide, what the fish do. So today it could be here, tomorrow it might be a couple hundred yards one direction or the other, especially if this wind picks up with this storm coming. And also too, the mud can sometimes be enlarged because of big wind. And so you have to drift through the mud and find where the fish are. The whole mud doesn't always hold fish. Sometimes the fish are concentrated in one part of the mud, and the wind and the tide are making the mud much bigger than it needs to be. So we just happened to make our first drift through here and got a couple bites right away.
All right, let's see if we can get some
Come
more.
on, JoJo, show the world that you can catch one too.
Yeah, I feel like the mud's behind us. Luke, look behind real quick. You see that
Yes,
color?
the sun's up. See if you can pick that up.
Because it's tough to see it in front of us, and I'm not getting the strikes. We were getting just slammed as soon as it hit the water.
It does look a lot lighter behind us.
Yeah.
For sure. And we could be dragging just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
It's hard bottom out here once you're past the first 2 inches. And all of us in the front, we could be. And that's part of the scenario. So if you can see with the sun up for the moment, the color change behind us, and with the big wind, we've now pushed through the mud.
I'm gonna cast back that way.
So we're gonna actually pick up here and idle back to the top, and we'll drift through again.
So let's see if I make a cast back behind us, if I can get anything. Into the wind, baby. Let it sink. And what, we're in a few feet of water?
Yeah, we're only in 3.5, 4 feet of water tops.
Yeah, it's definitely just milky back there.
Yeah, you can see it now, as long as the sun's up. Oh, I got a fish. See, when I cast, Joe, I don't know what the problem is when you're fishing, but I made my second cast. Here comes the spot. Oh, release! Spotted sea trout just came off.
I must need some more Dr. Juice.
Come on, what not to do? Don't make me go 3 for 3.
All right. I got a feeling this one's gonna connect. So you got the just straight up jig head. I got the weedless, the Haas weedless. Football style. Woo!
Yeah, the wind's picking up.
We're the only boat out here today.
Dang it. Finally made a cast and didn't catch one.
Yeah, look
Now I know what it's like to fish like Joe.
Look how big that area is back there. That's nuts.
Yeah, so once again, I can't stress enough. You can see the color differential behind the boat in the mud. And if you follow the camera and you look to the side, very different. And as Joe mentioned earlier, we missed our bites now that once we got out of the mud area, we lost our bites. So as soon as we, well, I didn't miss my bite. Oh, dang it. Whose rod is this? Luke's rod?
Oh boy.
Oh, he come off there. So fishing,
Woo.
woo.
Yeah, anybody can pretend they have one on. Come on, baby. So where are we going? What was the plan?
So we're on our way toward Flamingo, and we're gonna be throwing that Haas jig head of yours, weedless style, up in the trees and try to get out of some of this wind today.
Oh, God.
And see if we can catch a snook or a redfish or a Goliath or something on the worm, just to make the most of the conditions we have. The fact that we found this mud on the way,
They're right here now.
just a reason to stop and get some bites. And
I was getting crushed.
so you'll get a lot of different bites out here, like I mentioned earlier, and one of our culprits is a ladyfish. And ladyfish on the smaller side, they have a tendency to, oh, there's one, to come off that hook on almost every bite. They jump, they fly around. Here comes another trout.
There are a bunch of ladyfish down there.
Yeah.
Nice.
Spotted sea trout again on the Power Prawn Junior. Beautiful. Turn them over here.
So,
Nice. Unhook
Hollywood,
in, let 'em
what
go.
are they feeding on the bottom?
So they like to dig around up in here, and a trout's a very aggressive feeder. Sometimes we catch them and they're spitting stuff up, and you'll spit up shrimps and crabs and fish and chunks of decomposed stuff. I mean, they're pretty aggressive feeders. Same with the ladyfish and the jackrabbit. And the mullets too, they'll get in here and they dig this bottom up, hence, hence you see, there you go.
Golly.
Yeah, but a trout's an amazing feeder. I've seen video of a trout eating a much smaller trout in slow motion, and you watch, a trout will eat something half its size. So if you think of, like our friend Peter Deeks, who catches those monstrosity trout, those guys will eat 12 or 13-inch mullet. They're not afraid. They're not afraid to throw down and eat. So out here in the mud, they're feeding on all that they can: shrimp, crabs, minnows, pinfish, mullets, whatever's in here. When they're in the mood to eat, they eat.
So a lesson here to, if you guys are watching, say, golly, I'm getting one on, but I'm not hooking them. You've got a open hook. I got the weedless.
Hey, don't make me make forecasts and catch 5. Come on, JoJo.
Unbelievable.
Another spotted sea trout. Love it. So not a fishery where you need to use bait out here. We prefer not to use bait for a lot of different reasons. But one, in our part of the bay, if you put a shrimp on a hook out here, the pinfish population is sometimes so heavy that your shrimp will be nibbled off your hook before you can even have time to close your bail. So then it makes fishing with a shrimp unproductive. So a pop and cork, for example, is a very popular way to fish. That and the Prawn Junior, 2 feet of line, you can get a bite every single cast, even Joe can catch one. So no bait needed out here when you find these. Uh-oh, it could be.
Oh, yeah. I was just about to switch.
No, you.
I was just about to switch to the non-weedless.
Yeah, and in this scenario too, not a necessity to fish a weedless. When we fish in the mangroves and the bushes later today, then that'll be for sure. But out here in this bottom, not necessary.
It's hurting me to not have.
Would fish an open hook.
Huh? What, we got a backseat driver here? Unbelievable.
And especially with the ladyfish and stuff, hard sometimes to catch them on the weedless hook.
Unbelievable. All right, so we talked about it on the on that quick little short we made. I am gonna go get a different jig head on. Everyone's been asking, hey, I've watched Hollywood for a long time on these podcasts, and he always has a cold Bud Light.
Whoa, whoa,
What
whoa.
What's happened? What's changed, if anything? The world's wanting to know.
Well, in the world we live in today, and all of my professional friends, beer drinking buddies, it seems that the Coors Light is now taken over. So the Silver Bullet, Colorado Kool-Aid has become the flavor of choice these days. You changing your jig head there? Why don't you see if you can film him, see what he's got going on there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 1/4 ounce jig head with a Slam Shady 2.0, my confidence. Open face. None of this weedless stuff. Look at all the hops I have in here, by the way. Dude, that's a pretty sight, eh? You know, sometimes it's just good to admit defeat and do what everyone else is doing on the boat if someone else is catching more fish. And we had that on the prior podcast, right, Luke? I was using the old Slam Shady Mulligan, which I have a lot of confidence in, and you were slaying them on Fred the Jerk. This guy. You guys were watching that podcast. And so, I'm not going to be stubborn. Try to prove myself right. I switched to Fred the Jerk, and what happened? By the way, have you guys seen this? Zoom in on this. This is my new Plano. I'm not sponsored by Plano. I don't even know if we sell this one yet in the store. It's got a magnet on here. Watch as isn't that cool? So you can put in all your weighted hooks, and that way you can wash them off later. You can wash them right off here on top. I could put this whole thing down and it stays there. One of the coolest things ever. All right, got my 100 pack. Have you seen that, Hollywood?
What's that, my man?
What? These new Plano tackle bags, they put, look at this. They put magnets.
Wait, I'm busy, JoJo, catching fish. I'm sorry, you need me? Did you need me for something? Oh!
Oh my God.
There it is, the poor man's tarpon. If they would make that fish in a 10 to 15 pound model, I tell you what, I'd be fishing for him every day. Good old lady fish.
Check this out, Hollywood. Look at this. Magnets.
Wow.
On top of the tackle bag.
That's a pretty savvy idea.
Isn't that cool? I thought so. All right, Slam Shady 2.0.
Just another fish on this side of the boat.
Dr. Juice.
So for everybody that's not familiar with these ladyfish, you got to hold them facing out because they like to go poop like that. And if you don't hold them right, you can definitely find yourself covered in some fish poop. So a fun sport fish, not really a food value. Has a big mouth. It's very rough in here on the jaw. It can definitely wear through a light leader. Big eyes. Just a good looking fish, likes to jump. Very oily fish, very good for chunk bait, different things. And yeah, well, just a great sport fish that we have out here. Nice. Oh, he took my worm too.
Oh boy.
Oh, so speaking of that, we just say, look what happened. That fish alone frayed this leader. I don't know if we can see it. Try to get in the shadow here. Just that one ladyfish frayed that leader pretty significant. I'm guessing this is probably 20 pound. And you can see that fray one fish. The trout won't do that. One ladyfish, couple ladyfish bites. Now I gotta have to cut that back 4 inches and start over. That's really important. Call it a pro tip if you want. Always pay attention to your leader because they only breaks on the big fish, right? So anytime your leader's frayed up, you wanna cut it back, retie, start over. All right.
Woo.
Come on,
Wind
JoJo.
is picking up, baby.
I'm already tired of catching fish. It's almost time to drink beer.
What do you call it? Colorado what?
Colorado Kool-Aid.
So interesting. I'm not getting those same hits without the old shrimp on. And that thing, huh?
Dialed in the shrimp?
I guess so. I mean, I was still getting hits, at least swipes with that shrimp. I'm gonna go nice and slow up the bottom, see if it changes. Otherwise, I'm putting a shrimp back on. Shrimp!
Larry Bird.
Man, look how big this.
Yeah, we got a little bit of sunshine. You can see it pretty good. It's the size of a football field. That's accurate, you think? Right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Size of a football field.
Speaking of football, it's
Yeah.
happening.
Football starting soon.
Oh, there it is. There it is.
There's one.
Oh,
Catch one.
golly, ladyfish. All right, I want a nice trout. Come on. All right. I'll give it Slam Shady another chance here.
So talk about your tackle bag here.
So we got a
finally,
fantasy league. Luke, have we done anything with this yet? I don't even know what's going on. I think you guys just set me up.
Looks
to
like
lose.
those aren't. They finally got rid of doing those metal zippers. Just a kiss of death.
What's that?
No, I was just admiring your tackle bag you were showing me there. You know, one of my biggest pet peeves with tackle bag, which is why I switched to the Yeti cooler years ago,
Oh, here we go.
was because of just the really just low quality, cheap metal zippers that's very common in a lot of tackle bags. And out here in this environment, they corrode up really quick and they come apart or they seize up and they're just a royal pain in the butt. So it looks like on your new bag, those look like a heavy duty plastic zipper, and a little bit of luck, you'll get some time out of that.
Yeah, it's
And
my
the
new
magnet on the
favorite
top,
bag.
that's a pretty savvy idea with how much jig head fishing we do, which is basically every day.
But even live bait guys, you put your hooks up there. That way you can wash them off versus putting them back in a tray and
Yes,
getting
for sure,
salt
let them
water
dry.
on everything else.
Yeah, I think we're sliding out of that mud
Yeah,
a
we're
little
at the
bit.
very edge of it.
20 knots
There
of
it
wind.
is.
Oh, come
There
on,
we
JoJo.
go. Come on, baby. Another
Get 'em.
ladyfish. Woo! Quick release. Couldn't resist the old Slam Shady. Woo! What's that?
Yeah.
Mark you on? Oh, oh there.
Oh, there's one. Oh, got him on there.
We're Ladyfish Central over here.
So anyway, folks, you get the gist of what we're doing out here. It's a lot of fun. Anytime you can find a trout mud in the middle of the bay, light tackle, spinning rod, popping cork, power prawn junior, Slam Shady. It's a user-friendly fishery. It's a lot of fun to do, and sometimes they bite so good even Joe can catch one. Any questions on how to fish a trout mud out here in the Everglades National Park? You guys always know how to find me. FloridaKeysFunFishing.com, saltstrong.com, and stay tuned. We got more fishing coming up.
Woo woo!